Hi, good afternoon from a very rainy Manchester afternoon. It's about 2 p.m. or maybe 2:30 in the afternoon, and it is absolutely grey and absolutely raining. I would have done this video a lot earlier, but my lovely niece came and took me shopping, which was a great help, because that means I don't have to lug everything around. I'm out of puff. I've already brought the light in from the other room. Oh, Gigi, please, darling, don't sit on my crochet rail. Somebody suggested he should be the mascot of my YouTube. Here he is. Come on, Gigi. Come on, baby. Well, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who's been very encouraging about my craft room. We have hit a bit of a snag in that the carpenter who was going to do my work has now said he's not doing it. I don't blame him, because he lives miles and miles away, so it takes him forever to get here anyway. So I would have to pay his fee per day, and also his travelling expenses as well, which meant that even if I'd have got an estimate from him, if he'd have been willing to do it, it would have put the price up double, really. So anyway, we had a good discussion, my son and I, on, well, my son and my daughter-in-law and I, on Saturday when he came, no, Sunday, sorry, was it Sunday? Yes, Sunday, when he came to empty the bedroom. And we decided that we could partially use the white units that I've got in the dining room. Sorry, Kelly, I know I promised them to you, but it looks like you're not going to get them now. Or if they don't use those, we could use part of them on one side of the where the wardrobe was. And he's going to shelve the other part of it for me. It'll be more of a more temporary, but as long as it's fixed to the wall, I don't mind. You know, it won't be as like super duper top class as it would have been if a carpenter had done it. But having said that, that is not one of my worries. My worry is, of course, to get everything sorted out. And I'm so glad that none of you were very critical about my stash. Remember that my stash is from my business, and it's taken me many, many years to accumulate that amount of stash. All with my business in mind. It's not private stash. Some of it is what I want to use for myself, but most of it is not. And also I got into a lot of debt because of it, which I had to bail myself out of, so you can forgive me if I don't feel like donating it or giving it away, because it was really hard earned. By the time I finished, you know, paying the interest on the debt and everything like that, I feel as though I've practically paid for that yarn twice over. Anyway, you might be able to see it in the corner. I don't know whether you can or not. I'll turn the camera. This is the mystery object that I was making that I've told you nothing about. As you know, I had 8 squares. 8 squares left from doing my coat, because I've got teeny weeny arms, so I had 8 stitches too many. So I've made myself, it's sort of like a trapeze line sweater. I crocheted up from the squares that way, down from the squares that way, and then the sleeves are separate and all stitched in. I know lots of you like to do everything all in one and that, but I design better in pieces and stitch it together. So the back's exactly, well, not exactly the same, because the neckline is different. I hope you can see everything. So, I don't know whether you like my impromptu use of my squares. They were a little bit too wide to use around the waistline. I made one once before and I put them sort of there, but these were a bit too wide for there, so I decided to make it more of a trapeze line. So, there you go. And it's been quite inspiring actually being in. I mean, the stash room is empty, not the stash room, the craft room was empty. But what I did do, you saw the mess that the stash room was in. I did get the big bags, the laundry bags, which had the zips on. I did pull those all out. The ones that have the yarn in have gone into the craft room. But at least now I can actually see what I've got, which is a complete mystery to me, because lots of them, I mean, I still can't see all what I've got. I shall leave that unveiling to when I actually move. But I found it very inspiring, you know, seeing all these colours and things. I think, oh, I don't remember that. Oh, I don't remember that. Anyway, it inspired me to do my crochet. I've finished this off. Well, I've not finished it off because it's not been blocked at the moment. It's teeny tiny. This is from the Ice Cakes yarn. There's not as much of the turquoise in as I would have liked. There's a lot more of the grey. But I suppose that's the pattern I chose, because when it gets further down, of course, it's got more turquoise and little bits. But I would have preferred it not to have been so much grey at the top, but that's by the by. This is the All Shawl by Doris Chan. It's a very, very easy pattern to do, although I do mine differently. It's supposed to be, if you're in the US, extended double crochets. I just, halfway through, I just started doing double crochets anyway. So I just do mine in UK trebles, US double crochets. So it does come out a bit shorter than it should do. Maybe if I did double trebles it would be long enough, but it does block out a lot bigger than this. But in either way, it's just a nice shoulder shawl if it doesn't block out that much. I was doing these because I was chatting, well, chatting as much as you can do when you're on a live YouTube. I was with Sian's Crafty Corner on Saturday. Excuse me, I've got something in my mouth. And I managed to do that because I didn't need to think about it, so I wanted something I could just chatter along with, you know. So I've also started one in the, remember the one that was the ice cake that I said had this colour in there I wasn't keen on. It's very bright, isn't it? Very bright. That's the start of it. As you can see, it's like is it 8 segments or 7 segments? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 segments, like an orange, isn't it? Like a... So this is another one I'm doing. Purely because I wasn't concentrating on what I was doing and I wanted something to just chunner along with, yeah? So that's what I've been doing. The postman today brought me another of my bags from Rick Rack Designs. If you're in the US, I'm sure you can find somebody who ships to the US to buy them from. But in the UK, you see, we don't have that many people who make them. And if I buy them from the US, the postage makes the bag twice the price that it was in the first place. So I get these from Rick Rack Designs. And this one is lined with the lovely orange. This is kind of like Sue's kind of colours, this. And they're really well made, that's all I'm going to say. And they always arrive with a lavender bag inside them, which is really gorgeous. And this one was actually, that I bought, was a set. It came with a little notions pouch as well, which is handy if you're going out into the world anywhere, you know, and you want to take your scissors with you and your bits and pieces, and you don't want them to get lost in the bottom of your bag. So that's a notions pouch. It's got a little, I'm not sure whether that's to hang it on your bag or hang it on your ear or hang it on your belt, whatever way, yeah. And I've also got some patterns. Now there were 3, they were sold in like 3s. So I got like 2 of that one, which I'm going to give the extra one to Sue. I'm not that keen on it, but it didn't come separately, if you know what I mean. I bought 3 patterns at a very reduced rate. So this was one of the ones in the 3, although I'm not that keen on it, but... And that's another one with circles. I know I say I don't like doing circles, but I thought this one might be a good starter because it's like circles. And then I could actually stitch these together, because where I go wrong is when I've got to link them together. And then this is like crocheted up and down after it. So I might actually be able to manage that one. This one is just a plain top done in a chunk in it. But I like it because, of course, it's got the fringe. And I love the fringe. And then I've got some James C. Brett Marble Chunky upstairs in my stash room. And that would be nice to do it in that one. I hope that you're not getting glare on these patterns, by the way. Because I still haven't put the mirror behind the camera. Because I'm stupid. Yeah. Well, a lot of you now know what I live next door to. I have tried the environmental health because we saw a rat. I have tried the landlord and he is not interested. We've tried nicely asking her, which has resulted in the fact that we no longer speak. I mean, my son spoke to him, and my son actually took 6 big bin bags full of rubbish to the tip for them, which is not 6 months ago. But looking at the state of it now, they've just filled it up again. I mean, I do feel sorry for the people next door the other way, because I don't know whether you noticed there was a window there, and that's her kitchen. So when she stands there doing her dishes, she is looking over this mess that looks like a dump. If anybody who lives in the UK knows how I can get anybody to do anything about it, will you please let me know. I've tried the Environmental Agency, I've even tried the rat catcher. All they will say is that they cannot go past her front door line unless they have permission. They can't go into her back garden unless she gives them permission. One actually said to me, I think it was from the Environmental Council, just because she doesn't keep it as tidy as you would like her to, then that's not our problem. In other words, they were making me out to be some kind of a neat freak, which I am not, as you know. And I was just objecting to the way that she didn't tidy her garden up. My concern is, I've even tried social services, because my concern was she's got 2 small children, and it's like a little death trap out the back door. You would think, wouldn't you, with 2 toddlers, that you would like them to be out in the fresh air, playing in the garden, like my son did, and the 2 kids that used to live next door when my son was small. They used to run between the 2 gardens, and they had a whale of a time. Because they were hemmed in, they couldn't get to the road or anything like that. They were safe in the garden, in a safe environment. But no, her children can't step foot, as you saw. Her children cannot step foot out of the backyard for all that mess. Instead, she sits on the front doorstep and lets them play on the driveway, with bicycles and whatever. My street is not that busy, but it's busy enough with cars. All it needs is that kid to lose control of his bike, because the driveway slopes like that. I'm one of the only ones on my street with a level driveway. Everybody else goes that way, this way, whatever way. And so all he has to do is go a bit too fast and lose control, and he's straight out in the road. And she's sat on the step, so by the time she's got up off the step and run down, he could be knocked over. God forbid, or something worse. I just wish I could. But now we're not speaking, so I can't even tactfully mention to her, hey, you know, your garden's such a mess. I've mentioned it to her landlord and he just shrugs. He gets his rent, he's not concerned. Anyway, now you know why on my decking there's a huge piece of fencing. So at least when I'm out on my decking, I don't have to look on a dump site next door. Dreadful. Anyway, that's me moaning. So if you're in the UK and you've got some better ideas of what I can do, I am actually going to take some still photographs and email them to the landlord and see whether he will do anything about it. Every time he sees me now in the village, he disappears because he knows I'm going to say, well, what about that garden next door? It's a mess. Oh. Landlords, tenants. Never mind. Anyway, I've got all sorts of things I've got planned to do, but the first thing I need to do is actually take measurements of that room. Because in order to do shelving and everything like that, I need to, oh, sorry about that, my knee's having a little moment. I need to take measurements, you know, so that my son can price up how much it's going to be for shelving and things like that. And then obviously we'll have to go and buy the raw materials to make this shelving. It's not going to be quite as I envisaged it, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Because I don't want the shelves to be any wider than they have to be, because I want as much free space in the middle of the room, if you get me. Because I would like to have room to put a little table where my sewing machine is, and a couple of little chairs, yeah? So I can sit nice and comfy up there. Well, I've got one chair I can take upstairs, which is my PC chair, because I want to buy a new PC chair. But I also need another chair, otherwise Sue will be sitting on her thumb when she comes, basically. Then hopefully the mannequins might be able to fit up there, but you see I'm expecting a lot because as you saw it's not that big of a room. People have been asking me what I'm going to do with the stash room. My idea really is to turn it into a bit of a dressing room. In my bedroom isn't as big as you would think it is. It's just got a double bed in with a headboard and it's got fitted wardrobes. But there's no room for things like even the laundry basket, you know. You can put the laundry basket in there, but you're sort of tripping over it as you go through the doorway. And at the moment it's very, very chock-a-block in there because I've got no room for coats and things like that. And, you know, my necklaces are on a hanger thing and they're in the way, and the scarves and things like that, they're in the way. And so I'm hoping to make the little stash room into a bit of a dressing room. Not so much for clothes as the accessories and things like that. And I'm taking the chest of drawers in there so I can sort my underwear. When you've got built-in wardrobes, they just give you great big shelves like that. And okay, I've got little baskets in, but it's not ideal because I can only use half of the shelf with a basket. The top half of the shelf's not being used. So I want to use the shelving for my underwear. And then hopefully the big shelves like that, I can then put my woolies in. Instead of I've got one of these canvas wardrobes, you know, that students take with them to university, or college or whatever. I've got one of those in there that's got my woolies in at the moment. But as none of my floors in this house are actually level, it's tilted forward and it's in imminent danger of falling on me when I'm in bed. Luckily woolies are quite squashy, so they wouldn't actually hurt me. That was another reason why I wanted my shelving to actually be fitted to the wall, which I'm going to get my son to actually fit it if he can, as much to the wall, because I don't want to be sitting there doing my crocheting and the whole thing falls on me, you know. Could be a little bit tricky that, couldn't it, you know. Woman crushed by yarn in her craft room as the whole shelving falls off on me because I don't have a level floor. It's an old house, it was built in 1937, so over the years everything's shifted and settled and things don't close. I mean, they had terrible trouble putting the windows in, and the front door especially, they had terrible trouble with the front door because the walls had shifted over the years. So to get my door level like that, straight, there was a lot of shenanigans going on. Because if they put it in according to the door frame, it would have been like that, which is probably a reason why it would never stay closed. It would always swing open. I think I told you before, people in this house think I've got a ghost because everything goes and opens on its own. I mean, the main one is this room, the doorway that goes into the hall, square hall, just about room to step in it, one person. It's a hall, according to the specifications of the house, it's a hall. I would call it a doorstep. Because as the door opens, the stairs are there, I've just got enough room to walk in. And then you kind of have to walk into the front room before you can shut the door. That's how small it is. Yes, I do have a 3-bedroom house for those who've asked, but it's a tiny 3-bedroom house. The rooms are tiny. Once everything's done and dusted and everything's been sorted out and I've got it all sorted, I will give you a grand tour. Because then you will see how small a typical British house is. I think you've all got bigger closets than I've got rooms, you know. But this is not classed as a small house in the UK. This is actually one of the larger, well, not one of the larger houses. My sister-in-law has one of the larger houses. My son, the house he's just moved into, is smaller than this one. So good luck to them because they've got the 2 big dogs, yeah. Somebody decided that Gigi should be the mascot. I think it was when we were all chatting on Saturday, sorry. And there he is. He's sleeping on my shawl and he was sleeping on my coat, which is why it's still there. He was sleeping there. Aren't you, sweetie pie? Since the big dogs have not been here, he's just not been as kind of demanding, which is great for me because it means I can actually get some crocheting done. Before he was wanting to sit on me, wanting me to hold him all the time, I don't know what it was, insecurity or whether it was jealousy or what it was, but he just wanted, you know, me all the time. So anyway, I'm hoping this week that Sue will come one day this week. Then she'll be there having a look in the craft room, believe me. I did find actually a lot of my crocheting that I couldn't find before. I still got one bag missing, but so I've renewed a lot of things on Etsy. I didn't want to renew them because I didn't know where they were, so if anybody had bought them I couldn't have found them, you know, to send them off. So I thought that's going to be a bit embarrassing, isn't it? So I have found the bags. I found them. So I have been busy listing. I've still got to take some photographs of the cowls. But if you, I don't know whether you can see the weather outside or not, just excuse the mess on the coffee table. But it is so dark and dreary. The mess on the coffee table is because I'm a crafter. And if you're a crafter, you're messy. How anybody can be a tidy crafter, I don't know. I just survive in chaos. This is why I would like to confine all my chaos to the craft room. Which means if anybody pops in unexpectedly, at least this room will not be full of craft. I nearly said something else then, but I didn't. I said craft. So, anyway, to those of you who are going, I think it's Stitches West, is it, I think? You'll all be, well, some of you will be going there. There seems to be lots of craft things going on in the US. Different things and stuff like that. You're all so lucky. We don't, well, I mean, we're such a small island anyway, that we don't have the amount of crafters that you do. And there seems to be so many crafters in the UK who do paperwork, you know, cards and things like that. I mean, I'm not saying anything against it. That's your hobby. That's what you like to do. But when they advertise a craft show, I would like a better representation of all the kinds of crafts and not just concentrating on the paper crafts. You know, I would like it to include, I don't mind it being some sewing and some sewing machines, but not stall after stall after stall of paper crafts, because I've stopped going now. I mean, there's a few others that are just yarn, but they tend to be the hand-dyed type yarn, which, lovely as it is, beautiful as it is, I'm not knocking it. It's not my thing because I crochet to sell, and I just couldn't. I couldn't afford to buy a sweater's worth of all this hand-dyed stuff. I couldn't afford to buy it. And if I could afford to buy it, then I don't know how much. If I crocheted the wrong thing and it never sold. I mean, I can't wear wool, so it's no good crocheting it for myself because I would itch myself stupid. I know you can say cashmere, you can say merino, but I itch. I itch with anything that comes off an animal. I just itch. I'm better off with something that comes off an acrylic. And there are some beautiful acrylics out there. You know, I mean, I'm not a yarn snob in any shape or form. Not at all. I don't mind anybody who uses whatever yarn they wish. Whatever yarn they want to, you can use it. I'm not one that bangs on and says you should only use this or you should only use that. I use what I like. And I like something that goes in the machine because I'm disabled and I can't stand twiddling everything in the sink when I, you know. And the weather in England, you cannot line dry anything or dry anything flat when you live in a small house. Where do you put things to dry flat? I used to have a thing that went over the bath at one stage, like a mesh, in order to try to dry things flat, you know, but now I don't have a bath. I've got a shower, so I've got nothing to lie it on. That's why I'm hoping to have a table of some description in my craft room, because then I could perhaps centralise the table and put my, you know, my blocking mats. And when I'm not actually in the craft room, I could prop them out. And it does get a lot of light and sun and everything in that room, so it would be able to dry it nicely when I'm blocking anything. So yay! Another reason I want a craft room. And those of you who say, aren't you lucky having a craft room? I'm 71. I've been in this house nearly 50 years, so don't you think I deserve one now? I've been wanting one more or less since the day we moved in, but my ex-husband didn't approve of anything like that. He thought you should knit one thing at once or crochet one thing at once, and that was the only wool you should have in the house. He never understood my pattern collection or my book collection or anything like that. And when I if I took my eye off the ball, he would put them in the bin because he just thought they were rubbish. Yay! Another reason why he's an expert, we won't go into that. I have been watching a few videos. I haven't made a lot of comments purely because I've been watching YouTube on my TV. I got a Fire Stick from Asda. No, I didn't. I got it from Amazon. And I managed to get YouTube. Yay! But the problem is I can't put any comments on. So I've been watching them and not putting any comments on. So I have to try to remember to go back onto my PC, bring up the video I've been watching and put my comments on there. So I still keep forgetting to tell you who I've been watching, don't I? One I have been watching is a lady called Denise Dear. It's Dear, I think. I can't remember if it's D-E-E-R or it's D-E-A-R. But she has a page on Facebook as well, with her designs on. Denise, will you write underneath in the comments who you are, what you're called and your links, please, because I'm sure people would like to have a look. Because I've piqued their interest now, you see, so now they want to take a look. And I will do that with other people that I come across. I've got a few earmarked that people have recommended me, but I haven't quite got round to watching them yet. I keep saying I'm going to do, I'm useless, you see, I can't write things across the bottom, you know, like everybody else does, because I'm when it comes to technology. In an ideal world, I'll be able to put photos at the end of everything, put little comments at the top of things, you know. Everybody else can do it but me. Anyway, I'm going to go. I've got myself a coffee, but it's gone stone cold now, so I'm going to make myself another coffee. Going to settle down to finish this orange, yellow, whatever colour it is, all shawl, before I decide what I'm going to make next. So I do hope you take a look at my Etsy shop, if it's only to be nosy. You know, you could leave me a I like this comment and stuff like that. You know, just gives me some clue as to what people do like and what they don't like, you know. If quite a few people like one thing, then I think, people like that. That's another thing that I could put on my list to make something similar. If there's certain things that nobody likes, then I know that I won't make any more of those. If you know what I'm saying, it does help me. I'm not saying go and buy, although I would love it if you did, of course, of course, of course. All I'm saying is if you like something, tell me that you like it. Just say like or something like that. Because it does come back to me that somebody's like this particular thing. And then it gives me a clue. Because so far I seem to be in the dark. I seem to be making the wrong things, the wrong size, the wrong colour. You know. So I would like to crochet something that people actually want. You know, it would be a help. Because I'm a prolific crocheter, as you know, which is why I try to sell things. Because, A, I've got so many woolies of my own, I've got nowhere else to put them. I haven't got enough days in the year to wear these things. And B, I would like to make just a little bit of profit, enough to buy some more yarn. Yes, I know I don't need more yarn, but it would be nice to have that little, or to buy myself some more clothes. Do you like my jumper? It's another of my eBay specials, along with the beads. I'm going to have to stop because I need to sort out the wardrobe. I think I told you this, didn't it? It's all like a progression, isn't it? Once I get the craft room done, then I can sort the stash room out. Then when I sort the stash room out, I can sort my wardrobes out. Because at the moment I feel like I'm living in a little squat in my bedroom. Because I can't get into the wardrobe, so things are hanging on the rails. You're just hanging on hangers. And all the things I've bought. And then the coat rack. Oh, next door shouting, saying move, move, get down now. Don't know what the kid's doing. Then the coat rack fell off in the pantry, so all my coats are hanging in the hall, which looks terribly untidy because they're hanging off a picture rail. So I'm beginning to look like an episode of Hoarders. I know I'm not the tidiest person in the world, but I do like a little bit of order in my life, yeah? A little bit of order. I'm not that scruffy. I would like my clothes to be in the wardrobe and not all around the wardrobe and not hanging up in the hall or hanging up, yeah? Anyway, my priority will be to measure. Measure the room, top to bottom, get the measurements, send them off to my son, and then hopefully we can find a day that's convenient for both of us, and we can then go and get the raw materials that we will need to do the shelving. Oh, bless my little mascot. He's now sleeping on my coat again. Isn't he sweet? Oh dear, what was that for? I just said you were sweet. And then you go and choke on me. Eh? Are you alright, Gigi? You alright, baby? He made a break for it before. When my niece came, he decided he would go off for a trot. So I had to go. And the thing was, I had one boot on. So I had to run after him with one boot and one house slipper. He'd only gone next door to see if he could play with Buddy, but Buddy wasn't there. And anyway, we were going out, so you couldn't go see Buddy, could you? He loves Buddy next door. You love him, don't you? Never mind when it's summer and the nicer weather, Buddy might be playing in the garden. Yes. We'll see. We actually put a piece of netting across the fencing to stop the two big dogs going out and going into next doors. But there used to be a hole in the bottom of the hedge, and when Julie had her other little dog, Poppy used to come through every day to say hello to me. And when the patio door was open, she would just come walking in, do 4 or 5 turn rounds and then fall asleep on the carpet. I used to get these little text messages from Julie saying, "Have you got Poppy?" Buddy didn't come very often. Buddy would come for a treat and then he would go home again. But Poppy, no, she would stay. But sadly, of course, old age and illness overtook her. So she had to go about 6 months, I think, before Buster did, yeah. They were all the best of friends. There was Buddy, Buster and Poppy. The gruesome threesome. And then, of course, when this little Gigi came, there was the gruesome foursome. Wasn't there? Yes. 4 little buddies all playing in the garden, yeah. Because they used to come backwards and forwards through the fence. But when Gigi came to stay, I had to put the meshing back because at the time Julie was working and she wasn't in, so I couldn't actually go and rescue him, you know, if he went in her garden. He couldn't get out from her garden, but he used to be a bit struggling to get back. He'd go through the hedge, but then he'd struggle to come back through the hedge. So then he'd be crying because he'd be stuck on the other side of the fence. And I couldn't get through because, of course, she locks our garden up, which I don't blame her for. Got to be security conscious these days. And so I couldn't get in, you know, to get him back again. But now Julie's at home, isn't she? We can actually go and rescue him now. Anyway, I'm waffling on as I usually do. Wouldn't be me if I didn't waffle. I'm going to settle down to do some more crochet because I can't take photographs because, as you can see, it's going darker and darker and darker. You might not notice it because I've got the light on. You know, my big dazzle light. I know it's too bright, but I can't. It hasn't got a down and up switch, it's just got an on switch and an off switch. So I can't, like, you know, make it go a bit dimmer. I've tried putting it further away, if that helps, but I can't lower the, I don't really said lower the volume, lower the brightness. Can't use the control. So, anyway, hopefully you might see Sue later in the week. So from me, it's goodbye, and I do hope you liked my thoughts. Again, it's a made-up pattern, so please don't ask me for it. It's in my head, so unless you climb in my head, you can't have it. Okie dokie. Bye now.